Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Bren.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay.
Really good, clear.
All
Let
right.
me just try the share screen for you. You see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'll be right back, right?
Yep, no problem.
Oh, not good. I have a
That's
spinning wheel when I said start video again. So we'll see.
okay. So someone trying to join, and I thought that's what you were referencing because they dropped just as you said it.
Oh, no. I don't, it's not, I think it's my laptop actually.
Okay. I see your name. Like
Yeah.
no longer see the dog. I see your name, but no. Oh,
There
there
it
you
is.
go. Yeah.
I think in most cases the slides go on the big screen, right? And then I'm over on the side somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. Unless somebody feels like they really need to see me.
Want to zoom in on you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
always, always appreciative of that.
Background looks good. Like it doesn't look like a digital.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
this one it's actually in the, I think they put it in as a default in the backgrounds. So you can just select that one.
Okay.
Hey, Vince.
I can see you, Vince. Can't hear you though.
There we go.
Magic.
Magic. How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you?
Living the dream.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited to hear your talk.
Oh, thanks. By the way, I have a contact for you for ISACA if you guys are still interested.
Yeah. I owe you an email. We met with Darren a couple times to just sort of iterate the ideas to make sure we can narrow in on a couple of things and pinpoint. So
Okay.
I have an email drafted to you and Paula to sort of circle back with ISACA, and I was hoping to talk to your security team. So I'm super excited.
Okay, great. So how do people get onto this session? Is it just something that's presented to everybody out there and they can see it, or how does it work? Like, will we see people
So
join?
what I noticed through my yes, you'll see people join as participants.
Okay.
I think everyone's using that socio app, and then everyone has a link to the non-presenter view for the Zoom session through that.
I see.
So like you'll start seeing people trickle in the next few minutes.
Okay.
So I'll do your intro, I'll tell some jokes, and then warm up for you, and then turn it over.
Yeah, I need that. I need the jokes for sure. You know.
What do you call it with a fish with no eyes? No, all right.
Good one. Yeah, my kid would love that.
Vince, we've got our deck here, but I don't know that we have any intro slides. Do you have intro slides?
I don't have intro slides. I have an intro spiel,
Okay.
and then I will introduce both Brennan and Bruce, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Good. Thanks.
I'll turn it over to you guys, and you guys will wow the crowd.
Bruce is the wow guy.
Talking awe. I like it.
What a title, huh?
Sure, we could come up with interesting words for that acronym.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what does your title mean? ACS Security Services, Bruce?
So ACS is Advanced Customer Services, which is, but you could say just customer services as well, just
Gotcha.
as you do with Brennan. Where I work for Brennan.
And you can just say Bruce is a leader in our security services business.
Okay. Leader in our Gotcha. Your title is very long, Bruce. It's Senior Director and Product Go-to-Market for Customer Services and Cloud Services at Oracle.
Should have just gone with.
I like
Wow.
it.
I don't know who did that, but we'll figure it out.
It's a mouthful. I like
It
it.
is.
I was just going to call you Mr. Awe. I'll
Getting all kinds of titles now.
Yeah. I asked Sandy to change my title to Minister of Defense, and they refused to.
With a C, right?
Yes. But they refused to do that. So, and then I gave myself a title, Deputy CISO. They did not like that.
That means something though in that environment, right?
It does. I introduced myself once at a round table as Deputy CISO, and then someone emailed the CISO, David White, and they're like, "You can't do that." And so I'm like, "Why not? There's no Deputy CISO currently." Hi, Paul.
Hey, you got to
Okay.
take a stab at it, right?
Have some fun.
How's everybody doing?
Living the dream.
Yep.
PG.
Nice Zoom background, Vince.
Absolutely, keeping it local, trying to at least.
Yes.
It's better than my crowded bedroom office.
Yeah, Brendan, you have that's just a plain old blue screen with Oracle. That's good. Mine's my
I
crowded.
think it's default in our backgrounds, so it's probably there for you too.
If I had 4 cores in my laptop, I could. I have an old laptop. It doesn't support Zoom backgrounds, if you can believe it.
Gosh.
So host-wise, Michaela.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good.
Good. So I'm like the technical support for your session today. Looks like the screen sharing is working, audio and the video is working fine for you guys. So I think seems like it should be a pretty smooth session today for you guys.
Yeah, we were gonna make at least one of us hosts so that we could control the people who
The mute.
forget to mind their mute. I'd be glad to do it.
I'll email Ava real quick and see if she can make me the host. And then
Yeah.
throughout the session, I'll just monitor it to make sure there's no interruptions.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been an issue with other sessions or I wouldn't ask.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And there is a potential that I lose my connectivity, and if I do, I will jump to my phone.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you want me to bring up the presentation just in case, Brennan?
Well, Bruce has it up. He's gonna run the
Okay.
slides. Yeah.
Oh, Bruce, okay, I didn't see. Hello, Bruce. We're sharing Bruce's screen. Okay, great.
Yeah. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Bruce.
So this session's scheduled to start at
15 after.
15
Well,
after.
Yep. And then basically can go 45 minutes. I mean, there's kind of a cushion of 15, although you're the last session of the day. So
Oh, all right.
You're the closer, Brennan. You're the closer.
Yeah.
the closer.
What's good about these virtual ones, there's no like bar waiting for everybody, right? So you don't have to, people aren't getting antsy.
You're not the person between you and the bar, or you're in lunch. I like it.
Exactly.
I've had that ocelot a couple times at large conferences, and everyone's just like so tired. I'm like, please,
Yeah.
please don't beat me. It's where I got my fish joke.
Yeah. I'm sure that kept them, right?
I used to chuck candy in my large briefings when I was in the auditorium till I hit someone in the forehead.
Right.
And I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a bad idea. Someone just got up without looking. They came in between candy and the person. So I felt so bad.
Marshmallows, Vince, those work pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the COVID days, though, I don't know if I should be like single wrapped marshmallows. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Paula, it looks like you're the host. I just reached out to Ava, but it looks like at the moment you're the host, so you can manage muting people.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I saw her log in just a second ago, and then she made me host and then logged back.
Mhm.
That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you, Michaela.
So what's new, Paula? What's going on? Tell me a story.
Hey, this is the tale of two the ends of weather, right? I just was outside and it's like beautiful, 75. Last week at this time, the high was 35, 37, and we had 9 inches of snow on the ground. I mean,
Miserable.
yeah. It was great though. We needed the moisture, but
Moisture.
wow, what a difference.
My dogs loved it, just playing in the snow.
Yes.
Hey, Paula, how are you?
Hey, Mike. Very good. How are you?
I can't complain.
Good to see you.
You too.
You've been enjoying the conference?
So far, yeah. This last guy I listened to this morning, or the second one, somebody needs to obviously talk to that gentleman about Oracle provides cloud services. There wasn't a lot of conversation about that, and he was talking a lot about databases and auto, warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
Office warehouse, and anyway, but no, it's so far it's been good. I haven't been able to do much connection. I've been trying, but not getting a lot of feedback on the connections piece yet. But we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll set up a call with us. I see we have other people joining. That's good. These sessions today have been a little lighter attendance than yesterday. So
I'll give everyone a couple minutes to trickle in.
yeah. The AI speaker, the opening AI speaker this morning was phenomenal. God, that was great.
Yeah, who was it?
It was Neil Sahota.
Oh,
Ian's working with the UN on artificial intelligence. I mean, he had so many different stories about where AI is being used, and his big
That's
message was AI is not the future; it's happening right now. And he showed many different places and ways that they're doing it. It was great. He has his podcast. I wrote it down called "Changing the Story."
I'll look it up.
Yeah. Here, I'll chat you the link.
I'll give it another minute or two, and then I'll start.
Okay.
Oh, thanks for the link. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. We're waiting for a couple more people to join, and then Vince will get started with the introduction, and we'll get started with the seminar.
All right, I'll get started, and then.
Okay.
All right, so hello everyone, and welcome to the Accelerating Digital Transformation Through Security session with Oracle. Today, it's a privilege from hearing from Brennan Baybeck, the VP and CISO of Customer Services at Oracle, and Bruce McVarish, Senior Director of Product and Go-to-Market Strategies for Customer Services in the Cloud Services at Oracle. He is also a leader in the security services business. I want to thank you all for joining us, and thank you to our speakers. I'll turn it over to Brennan and Bruce right now.
Okay, thanks, Vince, and happy to be here, and happy for this opportunity as well to discuss this topic. It's something that we've been working through for quite some time with our customers and helping them understand some of the benefits of digital transformation. Typically, many customers, look at this as security as a problem space when it comes to rapid transformation, but we look at it a little differently on our team. And I just wanted to share some of that information with the team and the conference as well. So I'm Brendan Bayback. I lead a security practice at Oracle. I actually wear two hats. My first hat is I'm the CISO for the support services business, which is responsible for providing customer services and support to thousands of customers at Oracle. And my team, I have a team that leads day-to-day security operations for that business and risk management for that business. So security risk management, make that clarification for Paula. And so we're practitioners, just like many of you are, if you're a security practitioner on the call today. And we deal with security issues and security incidents and remediation and compliance and all those things for that business of customer services. My second hat is that I actually lead a security services business on the services side, where we provide security services to customers that they can purchase and add to supplement their security programs and their environments that we help manage for them at Oracle. And those services mainly revolve around database security, identity, compliance, threat and vulnerability management, and networking security controls in their environment. So that's the second hat I wear. So in that role, I get to see a lot of things, get to talk to a lot of customers. It's a great role. I really enjoy it. And on the phone is Bruce McFarish, who is a leader on my team for the security services business. So he's responsible for our business development, product management, go-to-market, those types of things for our security services. So he's got a lot of great insights too that he can also share in a Q&A session if we have questions at the end. So that's a little bit about me. So the agenda today is, we're going to talk about today's market and the security landscape overall. Just touch on that briefly. Talk about security and digital transformation, and talking about how that's accelerating and how we're seeing that be affected by security. And then also talking about how engaging customers on their security challenges, some of the things that we've been seeing, and I'll intertwine some of that as well during the session too, to share some of the insights that we've seen and experience that we've had. So going to the first slide, I think, all of us can agree that digital transformation is accelerating significantly, even in the midst of this global pandemic. A lot of people thought this would be shutting businesses down, which in some cases it has. And those businesses are the ones that were in industries that were severely affected and they didn't have resiliency plans or a strategy, or just, ones that were probably on the midst of going out anyway. And that's how they were affected. But in a lot of cases, which is maybe surprising to people are using the pandemic to actually accelerate things and accelerate transformation and growth, and looking at it more opportunistically than negatively. So we found that to be very interesting. And in many cases, like I said, the pandemic has actually driven the digital transformation for businesses. And examples that include, having to enable a remote workforce at once that was not remote. Most companies had to do this, right? And that was probably in their plans at one point, but now they're actually doing it. Providing much more robust digital experiences for customers that were once only physical experiences. Just think of all the shopping that's been done, whether you're shopping automobile, furniture, wherever you would have gone to a store like IKEA. They did have an online presence, but it's been severely accelerated to address, what the physical requirements were for the pandemic. Restaurants and automotive sales are a couple other examples too. And then we're also seeing, another example would be new platforms for remote learning and knowledge, and things like this conference, for example, right? And schools and those types of things. So it's been really interesting to see how this has accelerated digital transformation due to this pandemic and this crisis that we've been dealing with. And then some of these transformations were already in progress, but they'd been stalled by a variety of things, including security risks, concerns, requirements, and perceptions. So in the past, security may have been viewed as an actual issue when it came to digital transformation, but we're going to pose a case that it actually is an accelerator and enabler. And the perceptions are rapidly changing. Security is now that enabler, and most a lot of the companies that we work with are engaging it as an enabler instead of seeing it as an inhibitor, or in some cases they like to joke and call it, sales prevention versus sales enablement. But so now, businesses, whether by choice or by necessity, they're driving transformation more than ever, and they're focused really on the following 4 areas as we see it that are on the slide here. The first one is around cloud adoption, and so they're transitioning from a hybrid and a multi-cloud, transitioning to hybrid and multi-cloud environments to help improve scalability and efficiency, gain agility to respond to new demands quickly, and in our case, in our view of it, use security as an enabler to do that. We're also seeing the pace of innovation is a huge part of the digital transformation. More than ever, it's challenging to keep up with the rapid innovations in products and services and capabilities and processes and things that the customers want or need, or in the case of necessity, like with the pandemic. So, companies have got to start adopting transformation from a pace perspective as well. And then, of course, data-driven business requirements are really providing a catalyst for digital transformation as well. The business that is not generating data and leveraging that data to run and drive the business are severely impeded in competitive environments with other organizations that are doing that to generate new revenue, optimize operations, improve their services, offer new services. And so these, getting the data and making sure that the data is being used properly and then, of course, secured properly is very important as well. And then I already kind of touched on the digital experience. Digital transformation is all about new digital experience capabilities for creative service and business models and increasing revenue and customer experience as well. And that's table stakes for operating in this new world. And it's got to be an integral part of any organization's transformation plans. So, digital transformation is really driving dramatic changes to enterprise priorities and people and processes and technologies in each of the areas that I just talked about briefly. And each of those areas has its own security threats, risks, requirements, and challenges that are going to need to be considered. For example, how will we properly protect all of the data that's being generated to support and transform a data-driven business that our business is creating, and how we ensure compliance with all the different global data protection requirements that are out there. I mean, these are things that have to be thought of not after the transformation strategy is formed and is being executed, but upfront in the beginning, which also would have to drive our security transformation as well. So when a conscious approach is taken and a well thought out and relevant security strategy is utilized that's aligned to the digital transformation of the organization as well as the IT organization, security definitely will become an enabler for digital transformation, and security can be an enabler for each of the areas that I just described, like cloud adoption and pace of innovation. So as if it wasn't enough that, we've got this rapid transformation going on, the state of cybersecurity is changing quite a bit as well. And as IT and security professionals, that's an aspect that we have to consider when we're coming up with our strategies and working with the businesses as well. We're facing more security risks and challenges than ever before. And as previously noted, digital transformation is actually compounding those issues, like with the data-driven business, for example. And then, of course, adding the global pandemic on top of that makes it even more challenging. So looking at some of the recent reports from both Oracle and KPMG, as well as the Professional Association for ISACA, which in full disclosure, I'm on the board of that organization, we find the risks and challenges cover a variety of areas, from adoption of new technologies such as cloud to significant workforce skill set, capability, and availability issues. So the issues are kind of across the board when you look at the state of security and at the different reports. For example, from our KPMG and Oracle Cloud Threat Report, 92% of the organizations have cloud security readiness gaps. And as we've talked about there, that's one of the big components of a digital transformation is going to cloud. 59% have had privileged cloud credentials phished. And then there's misconfiguration issues as well. 51% discovered data loss as a direct result of misconfigurations. And so that just shows you that, we're still having problems in the technology space as well, and in the general awareness space, which are all basics to a security program. And then the one that's, we've been living and see on a regular basis is only 8% fully understand the shared security responsibility model when you are moving to cloud and moving to a shared services model with providers. And that's one that, we as a cloud provider are working very hard to change. And they in our report as well also show that 44% say that cybersecurity is problematic, most problematic IT skill shortage area. So cybersecurity skills and gaps and people who have those skills are a huge issue in our cloud report. And then jumping over to the ISACA report, which I know very well, that's one of the main issues on the ISACA report is that the skill set gap is there. The workforce for security is not there. They continue to be understaffed. And then the lack of the staff and oversight impacts the operational performance as well as the ability to properly secure. The CISOs that we've surveyed in our cybersecurity report at ISACA say that they see a direct correlation between the ability to hire people and how long it takes to hire people to the amount of breaches and security incidents that they're experiencing. So we see that, before it used to be, hey, we can't fill our positions, and that's causing problems with us moving our program forward. They're actually seeing a direct correlation now to, when they can't hire people, that their security incidents are going up, which means that they're not properly, being able to secure their environments because they are understaffed. We're also finding that the security functions are scattered, within the IT operations organizations, which I see that a lot with customers, which causes problems with, implementing a strategy and getting it done correctly and effectively. And so that's another data point that I thought was pretty interesting from the ISACA survey. So the workforce management piece of it is huge, which means that we have to figure out better ways and more efficient ways to utilize the resources that we have in IT security. And then all of these things point to the fact that we will definitely need to transform how security risks and challenges, how we address security risks and challenges and the strategies that we're creating for the future, right alongside with the businesses and what they're doing to transform in their strategies, the businesses that we're here to protect. And just as our businesses need to transform to survive and thrive, the security programs are going to need to do the same. Because if not, then we either become irrelevant and those security investments and budgets will be questioned, or even worse, we start suffering major incidents and breaches which affect the company as a whole. So it's very important that the cybersecurity executives really get in line with the digital transformation strategies of the company and the IT organizations. Still kind of continuing on the state of things, as if we didn't have enough challenges on our plates, we're in the midst of this global pandemic that's also had a significant effect on security in our organizations and on society, quite frankly, from a security perspective. Attacks are up significantly from the beginning of the pandemic. And as usual, bad actors are taking advantage of the situation, which is what they always do. We're seeing major increases in ransomware attacks targeting specific users at companies, especially in some of the most critical industries related to the pandemic, like healthcare, government entities that are providing social services and financial services. And then, of course, remote working has changed the security posture of millions of workers and it's affecting how customers work to secure those types of environments for those users and the environments that they're working in to ensure that they've been adequately protected. We've been working with many customers throughout the pandemic this year, and it was really surprising to me to see how many had not planned for better resiliency. I know that this has been a topic with customers for a long time, and in the services that we provide to customers, we do help them with that in the scope of service that we provide. When I was looking at their broader IT environments, there just had not been really good planning for resiliency. I mean, many did not even have an ability to work remotely, and they had to scramble to get these processes and technologies in place. And these were, a lot of them were manufacturing customers or engineering type companies that, their model was you were on site working, or you were on, at a customer site working, if in the case of the engineering companies, and they were, they had to be on site. So they did not have these processes or technologies in place, and they had to, scramble to get those in place. Many also did not have the right precautions to protect against like endpoint situations and security issues, including ransomware, even though those threats have been around forever, since I started working in this business. And even worse, when they did get hit by ransomware, some companies had no resiliency plans for that issue and in place to do basic functions like, fill orders for customers, close the books, or close the books when their networks were shut down. So that was a little disappointing to see, knowing that these things have been around for a long time. And to top it off, we're finding that the bad actors are also digitally transforming their businesses to enable many of the new processes and technologies to make their methods more effective and expanding their scope exponentially. So just like, we're saying, oh, cloud, the kind of the four things are pace of innovation, the cloud, usage of the cloud, data-driven businesses, and innovation. That's what the bad actors are doing as well. They're using the cloud technologies to expand their scope significantly, utilize better storage and compute capabilities to make things, go faster. They're using the cloud innovations as well out there to develop their quote unquote products that they use to attack you. And so, they're moving at a very rapid pace too. So not only are our businesses transforming, what we're seeing that the bad actors are doing that too. So it makes it even more imperative that we as security executives recognize that and also drive that transformation. And you couple that with like the global fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and these risks are just increased exponentially as well. So that's kind of the state of the situation and what we're seeing. So what can we as security executives and professionals do to better align with our organizations, rapid transformation that they're going through, while addressing the security, the increasing security threats, risks, and challenges that I just described at a high level. So just as the businesses that we're serving are transforming, our security strategies and programs should be aligning and transforming with them. And savvy security executives have been doing this for quite some time and know how critical it is to align with the business strategy of the company. Most CISOs won't be around very long if they're off doing their own thing and not directly aligning to the business strategy of the company and showing that alignment, as well as showing the value that they're providing in the services that they provide to the company. But that alone it's no longer enough. Security executives and practitioners, they really need to understand how the business is transforming and do the same with security, because we've got to keep pace with that, as I've mentioned a couple times. Understanding that transformation strategy really allows security organizations to leverage the new people, processes, and technology that the rest of the business is putting in place, and take advantage of automation, reduced operating costs, and most importantly, repurpose those hard to find critical security people resources to allow expansion of security scope and services that we provide to our organizations. In the past, many security programs consider themselves what I call special and would have their own dedicated IT resources, partners, environments, and toolings to address their security needs and requirements. And this has always been a waste of really critical security resources and headcount that should be focused on protecting these environments and not doing things like administering servers and storage and things like that in a shadow IT model. Many of the security programs out there still have that model where they are paying for their own security admins and IT in a kind of a shadow IT model. And it's a significant cost to a lot of the security programs, and it takes away their ability to address all these new threats and these things that are happening. And that is why you see like ransomware is still rampant out there, and we haven't really put in place resiliency plans because we've got some security resources focused on running IT functions. This alignment also lessens the burden on both security and IT teams, as both teams are leveraging the same technology platforms and processes making it necessary to only review these things at one time, as security would be deeply involved from the start of looking at the platforms or the processes, and can ensure that the right controls are built in versus taking an ivory tower approach and reviewing these technologies from the outside in, which is a typical model of most traditional security programs. The IT department, starts to create the architectures that they want to put in place to serve the business and serve the needs of the business. And then the security team comes in after the fact and reviews it and just kind of, does a seagull approach and flies over and poops all over it and says, hey, you guys need to change this and change that. And the IT organization's halfway through their design phase. So we need to move out of those kind of models and really start to be more engaged up front. But what I'm posing as an alternative to that is become an adopter of these technologies as well, and use them in your security transformation and in your program to make not only your program better, but it helps the broader organization be more efficient and effective in what they do. So a few examples of what I'm talking about here. For example, if an organization is moving to cloud for hosting, excuse me, the security team should also be transforming to this model and learning and leveraging the cloud the cloud service providers' security capabilities. So, if the cloud security providers has a facility or capability for identity management, for example, instead of going off and building one separately, figuring out if that's going to meet the needs of the business is really the way that we should be looking at this versus, having a third-party product that we once again have to support and manage. It's still on the cloud platform, hopefully, or maybe in some cases it's back home in the hybrid environment in the data center. That's just more and more overhead that's required, as well as yet another environment to secure in the footprint. So having the teams really use the cloud service provider capabilities and the functions and the features that are there not only allows the security teams to run their environments on the cloud platform, which I strongly suggest, but it will also help the IT teams secure their environments as well, because you've got two sets of groups looking at what cloud capabilities are there for security and then leveraging those and working in a partnership model with the provider to make those reality. So the capabilities that I'm talking about could be like DevOps processes, the DevOps tooling and automation, configuration and systems management, identity and access controls, and overall monitoring. Your IT organization is going to be putting processes in place and using cloud capabilities for each one of those. And the security executive and their team should be looking at those same capabilities to address security requirements that we have in those environments. Another example is if your company is using like a SaaS service for customer management or customer experience capabilities, security teams should be strongly considering reviewing the capabilities to determine if they can be leveraged with security operations processes, for example. If you really lift up the hood and look at, security operations center processes, SOC processes, there's a lot of workflow management, incident management. There's a lot of data that's collected to make the experience better. There's a lot of automation that needs to be put into place. And that's exactly what's happening for customer experience and customer management. So just kind of changing your view of what that looks like as a security exec will help people really understand that these are things that they could be leveraging, and it doesn't include an additional investment. And you're also, like I said, helping your business's transformation and using these types of products and services as well. Finally, another example would be as your company chooses an AI and ML platform, which every one of these companies that we work with is in that process right now. The security team be reviewing, leveraging that platform for their own needs and requirements, because security is data-driven business as well. And once again, if you're leveraging that investment, you would be, getting all of the things that, better cost models and those types of things, and then driving deep understanding of those platform capabilities and helping build security in at the beginning. The AI and ML machine learning platforms and analytics platforms are going to require a significant amount of data protection and security and compliance controls built in. And so it's critical that the security folks really understand those at the beginning and become a partner in helping those. And one of the ways to do that is to just use those for your processes and your needs as well. Okay. So on this slide, we have a few more examples of, comparing the IT transformation to the security transformation and how those could be leveraged and utilized as well. And it shows like kind of a digital transformation arc that IT is going through and one that security is going through. And you can see that both groups are going from a reporting ops focused, using centralized on-prem and apps to data center to more intelligent platforms that are providing way more automation to address the functions that they need, using AI for digital experience and enterprise management. And on the security side, intelligent automated security. I mean, one of the things that we're challenged with in security is the workforce and the ability to hire the right people. But we're also challenged with, budget constraints as well. Security budgets aren't going up as much as they used to. And so every one of us is challenged. So this kind of gives you an idea of what that arc could look like. And if you're partnering with your IT and your business and recognizing that you're part of that digital transformation, there are a lot of benefits that can be derived with that approach. So moving on, it's also obvious to most of us that the function and the purpose of the CIO has changed significantly over the last few years. And so just like our digital businesses are transforming at our companies, the role of the CISO and the CIO are also transforming and changing. CIOs are still responsible for delivering innovation and automation, but they are expected to do so through very direct alignment with the digital strategy of the company. And also to provide IT services to serve the business, not doing IT for IT's sake. Now, I know many people may not really know what I mean by that, but I've worked in several IT organizations, and there's always a group of people, or in some cases, a big group of people, or maybe the whole organization is using a build it and they will come type of model. So the CIO and their organization think that they know what's right for the business, and they're not actively engaging the business. Those models still exist out there today. And so, but I mean, they're not going to last very long because, in today's world, those types of models are being challenged every day. But we really need to focus on not doing IT for IT's sake and being directly aligned. Now, the CISO's world has changed significantly as well. There's an increase in the utilization of the new IT innovations that we talked about in the digital transformation, and it's made the CISO scope of responsibility much greater, because that footprint's being increased. All the business functions are driving more technology usage and innovation. And it's getting more challenging for many CISOs to be able to ramp up to address the new scope. And many have had to change their programs to focus on governance and risk versus operating many of the day-to-day security controls and operations management functions that are out there. So what has happened is these responsibilities have now shifted to the CIO, or in many cases, partners such as cloud service providers. But in any case, the CIOs are now more aware than ever to how important security is in their transformation plans, and as they will continue to be a more integral part of the company's security strategy. I've been working with many customers over the last couple of years, and IT executives have confirmed that their security responsibilities have changed and increased significantly. This causes a challenge to many of them, as they haven't budgeted for these changes and they don't have the resources or the capabilities to address these new changes. They're looking for ways to address these changes effectively and efficiently, and including leveraging service providers and partners. And this model, of course, offers its own challenges, but can be an effective approach. I'd like to walk through one example of how this model can be effective, and that's using a cloud service provider as an example. 1 second, please. So in the past, security was seen as an reductions easy. In 2020, we are seeing cloud security as a top benefit to adopting cloud services, which is a monumental shift from just a few years ago. As previously noted, the CIO's role regarding security is changing. They're taking on more responsibility for day-to-day security management. The cloud providers know that, and security is now a top priority for the providers, which is also a big shift from several years ago. In the past, security was not the top priority. Providers are also building in capabilities to their ecosystems to allow customers to address the majority of their critical security requirements, while at the same time making them much easier to adopt through automation. And this is going to help both the CISOs and the CIOs significantly improve their environments when the move to cloud to address such areas as configuration management, patching, vulnerability management, access control, and also monitoring and remediation. So, security is no longer that inhibitor to going to cloud. It's seen as an enabler in helping the CIOs address those new roles and responsibilities that they're required to have. And then attributes of the cloud services will allow you to be more secure than in your current environment. We believe the cloud is more secure, but on this slide I put it can be more secure. And the reason that I say that is because it's a shared responsibility with customers to ensure that it's more secure, which I will discuss next. And if that shared responsibility model is not effectively utilized and not put in place, and thought about from a strategy perspective, then the cloud might not be more secure. But the reason the cloud is more secure is that, cloud architectures have built-in security. The security architectures are much easier to change in the cloud, and we see much more visibility and better visibility than we do have in our current legacy environments. And then patching and security management is consistent. There's tooling there for you to do that inside your own environment. Security management is much more comprehensive if you're hosting everything in the cloud provider's environment, because it's applied consistently across, like for patching. And that, but the one big one that's really interesting is the public cloud providers are investing heavily in security innovation. So you're going to see security capabilities and features coming out on a regular basis. And we're also finding that the partners are innovating there as well. So you're getting the kind of like a double whammy of benefit from not only the cloud providers that are continuing to invest in that security innovation and provide those to you many times free of charge, but you have partners in a marketplace that are also doing that and heavily automating things that make it easier to adopt. Okay. So in order for the cloud model to be effective, as I mentioned, customers have to understand that this is a shared responsibility. And as previously mentioned, the CISO's new world involves much more security governance and risk management. And this includes working with and managing partners such as cloud providers. Although the cloud service provider does play a significant role in securing these environments, and you can see on our diagram, that's the green part of that. I mean, I know it looks small on this slide, but that's a significant amount of responsibility that the cloud provider uptakes when you take on their services. We as security practitioners, we need to understand that we still have a significant role in securing the cloud environments, which are the areas in red, especially in hybrid environments if you're working in those environments, or multi-cloud environments. The cloud provider will secure all the platform components for which they're responsible. They'll provide assurance to the customers that it's being done through certifications and attestations and visibility, and will also provide significant security capabilities and innovation for the customers to secure their workloads and the ecosystems that the customers bring onto the platform. But it's our responsibility as customers to develop a partnership with the provider security team, understand the new and existing security capabilities as they come out so that they can be fully leveraged. And additionally, it's our responsibility to develop, interpret, and ensure implementation of the policies for applications, identity and access controls, and even more importantly, data protection. Our policies are aligned to our business and our transformation, and it's up to the security customer to make sure that those are properly implemented in cloud. It's also the customer's responsibility to govern and monitor their own environments on the cloud platform, but also ensure compliance for any specific requirements for the cloud provider as well. Most of those take the form of regulatory or legislative or government program type requirements that we need to make sure that we're signing off on as the customer and making sure that the cloud provider is meeting our needs. So after covering that example, the question is, a lot is, as a security executive or practitioner, how can I start to transform, or where should I start? And this slide introduces a security transformation model that we've been seeing used at customers, and we've also been implementing inside of Oracle on who are also addressing the pandemic crisis. So we put this in place when we were working through our pandemic crisis planning. It's being used by security executives to align with the CIO's transformation strategy while aligning directly to the crisis situation and addressing that. They've used the pandemic response as a way to pivot first to respond, and then as another pivot into transformation. As you can see on the diagram here, we had to respond and triage and react to the pandemic and what was going on there from a security perspective and an IT perspective, and then move into an opportunity and transform approach where we're taking the lessons that we learned and the new things that we did to build that resiliency to now move into looking at opportunities and figuring out how we continue to transform moving forward. Remote access is a really great example. Our services business has always been able to provide remote support services, but it was not our it was one of our primary models, but we still had on-premise models that were out there. The pandemic forced us to go solely remote, and we had to make some big changes to address the new security requirements for that model. Instead of stopping there, we've come up with a strategy to deliver even more remote support services, including new services for our customers, meeting their new needs as well. So some of the customers that didn't do the resiliency planning that they should have, we're able to provide them services to help them with that, which was a huge step for us in helping our customers. It's resulted in more cost-effective support models, faster deployment and expansion of our services to a much more global market. And then expanding on this a little bit more, the model does not necessarily require a global crisis to be implemented, although we use it in that case, and many of our customers have as well. You could use this model to discuss the IT transformation between the CIO and the CISO and really get a good understanding of that. And on this slide are some questions that we should be asking when we're working through our digital transformations as both CIOs and CISOs. So, going through that kind of phase of, looking at responding, triaging and reacting. You could talk about, how do we connect and protect from a security perspective, and what is IT doing? What are the challenges now for that? What are they doing to protect and react? And how do you intend to optimize IT and security budgets, and how do they better align to the transformation activities that are occurring? And this one's really important. If you look at that middle column, it's asking the questions and having the discussion about, what new business models have been considered and how are you exploring, or simply just asking what's the transformation strategy that IT is putting in place? What are you using for new technologies and emerging technologies? How will you be using partners? The data analytics question and automation. What are you using to address those transformational needs? So this is just an approach that taking the different horizons, putting some timeline in those horizons, and going through the process with the IT folks to really understand, how are they moving from a response into a transformation activity? And you can use it on a single activity, for example, remote access, or you could use it for digital experience or whatever it is, or you could take it as a much broader approach and using it to discuss with the CIO of what's going on from a broader transformation perspective. And after thinking about and answering these questions, an evolved security strategy can be created that aligns with the IT transformation strategy, which, if being done correctly, should also be aligned with the overall business digital transformation strategy at the company. If your IT organization is not aligned to the business strategy, you can also ask that question and drive the CIO and his team, their team to that discussion. So, just I'm going to wrap it up real quick and see if there's any questions. But although, there's numerous security challenges faced through digital transformation, taking that conscious approach and thoughtful approach to understanding and aligning to these transformation strategies will allow security to be a much better partner to IT in the business, but also allow security to become an enabler and not an inhibitor to the organization. And having those conversations and really taking that conscious approach to saying we want to be an enabler and looking for ways to knock down the barriers and the challenges is really important when working with through your partnerships with the business and with the IT partners. So I hope this presentation has provided some insight into how to make that happen at your organization. And once again, thanks a lot for the opportunity to speak to you, and I'll just open it up to see if there's any questions.
I don't see any questions in the chat, but you can either put the question in the chat or you can actually unmute yourself and ask a question.
I'll take feedback too.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a question.
This was a great talk. I really love your 8% sort of understanding the shared security model, right? I think that visualization is probably one of the most impactful things I've seen in a long time. We've been trying to communicate this risk, right? I think, at least in the government space, there's this perception that we can just transfer risk to the cloud provider and say, well, you're responsible for everything, right? And we're absolving the CISO at the federal level, absolving them of risk. And I think this is a really great sort of depiction of sort of that delineation in a more graphical way.
Yeah.
As you start briefing folks and sort of explaining that to sort of external organizations, what is the traditional sort of reaction and feedback you get regarding that?
A lot of people think that, you know, when they work with a cloud provider, that they're getting everything from that cloud provider. And the only time that you'll get, you know, a lot of it is in a SaaS model, right? So think of it as a stack, right? Starting with an IaaS provider. We have another, you know, slide that we use typically to discuss this, but an IaaS provider gives you exactly what's in the green box, right? All the cloud infrastructure, and then you get to do whatever you want on top of that. Those cloud providers don't care what you do. I call it the box, right? The customer box. Some use a tenancy, some use compartment, you know, container, whatever the terminology is at the cloud provider level. But what you do inside of that box as a customer, they do not care about unless you do one of the three things. You are affecting their ability to provide their service to other customers. You're affecting, you know, the company as a whole. So like you're attacking the company, or you're doing something stupid that's, you know, doing that, or you're doing stupid stuff on the internet that they're hearing about because you're a customer of theirs, right? But other than that, if you want to put multiple environments in there and beat each other up inside of that, and, you know, affect the availability of your other line of business, they don't care, right? They do provide tooling to help you manage that, but they don't care. But as you move up the stack and go to like a PaaS environment and then a SaaS environment, more responsibility is taken by the cloud provider, and they want to do more. But even in a SaaS environment, where you're getting an online application delivered to you through multiple digital experience paths and everything, you still have to make sure the data is properly protected, access is properly controlled, that, you know, you are ensuring that your the data that you're putting into it is accurate and available and all that kind of stuff, right? So there is a level of responsibility, and it's a big one too. Like that's the very top layer on this slide, right? The applications identity and access management. If you're not doing that correctly, it doesn't matter how great your cloud provider is doing, you know, you're still going to have exposures and issues, and you're the one that's required to be compliant with the regulatory requirements of a, you know, of a nation state or of a regulatory body or whatever, right? It's the cloud provider is only responsible up to their scope of responsibility. So if one of the number one takeaways is this slide, and we really hammer this hard with our customers so that they understand this. And the good thing about this is that the cloud providers now have a lot of things in place to help you with this. You just have to establish a relationship with your cloud provider and their security team, and they'll work through this with you and help you understand. And if they are not giving you what you need, a service provider partner can do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we have another question that I'll ask, and then Kelly, if you want to jump off of mute, you can interact on it. But is Kelly Warnock wants to know, is cloud computing ready for healthcare and all of the laws that come with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There can be issues with third parties. So how would you pass your security to a third party vendor?
Okay, sure. So is cloud computing ready for healthcare? Absolutely. You know, many of the cloud environments have been built for very rigorous government and regulatory requirements. So the cloud providers, including Oracle, are ready for, you know, your healthcare workloads and things that come along with that. And many of the, you know, most of the SaaS services and things that are related to that are also ready for healthcare information. And so that's just kind of table stakes for the cloud providers. And so, you know, asking those questions of, of, is it ready? And here are our requirements and those types of things. They'll have answers to all the basic stuff. But once again, you need to understand your environments very well and ask very pointed questions for specific things, like if you're using third parties or you have other third-party products that are in your cloud environment that interface with it or whatever. The cloud provider may not necessarily be responsible for those. It would be you, but you need to know, like, how do they help you meet those requirements, and how are you going to be able to, manage those third parties in that environment? But the cloud providers absolutely have the certifications and attestations to back up the claims that they're making about healthcare data, PHI, PCI data, government requirements, all of those things. And it's just a matter of working with the right teams at the provider through a partnership, like I mentioned, to understand, what's covered and what's not. So if things are not covered, that it is then the customer's responsibility to make sure that they get the right processes and controls and certifications and attestations and compliance stuff in place to ensure that. Did that answer the question, hopefully?
I think so. Let's see if Kelly either can jump off or.
And while we're seeing if that answered her question, I see Debbie has a question. Good to see something similar for small businesses. I actually think small businesses can get a lot out of a service provider model, right? And definitely get a lot out of the digital transformation as well, because they're smaller, they're not as complex, and you can probably adopt and adapt a lot of these new technologies much quicker than a large business. So I think that a lot of these things apply to a small business as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree. All right, so thank you from Debbie for that. All right, so right now that's all the questions we have. Let's just wait for a minute, see if there's any other questions.
And like
And
I
these
said,
slides
you
will
need
make
feedback
this.
or you want to discuss something, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. Yeah, so Brennan and Bruce are in the attendees or the speakers in the app for the conference. And the slides will be made available also. So.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Thanks everyone for the opportunity to share this information. And if you have any questions, you can also reach out to me directly or go through Paula. She's kind of my conduit to New Mexico. So if anybody has any questions, we can, or you have questions about Oracle or whatever, we'll definitely find you the right person if we can't answer it ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you, Brennan. It's always great to have such a very talented CISO as Brennan, and with especially a lot of your experience across ISACA. And so we always love the stories and appreciate the breadth of your experience. So
Thanks, Paul.
yes, thank you.
Have a great conference.
Bye. Bye-bye.